might be getting my ears done after this interview. I got some good warnings for you folks. Okay, we want to welcome the folks from Amazing Hearing, Ann Mundell Noel and Gabby Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So we want to talk about what's the importance of coming in and getting a baseline on your hearing and taking a look at your ears and seeing where we're at. And that's an important thing to do, right?
Yes, we know that we lose our vision in our 40s and 50s, and we lose our hearing in our 60s and 70s. So it's good to get a baseline to know where you're at so that as things start to progress, you know as a comparison.
Okay, and so what is a baseline involve? What happens when I come in and I'm getting my baseline?
Yep, so a baseline hearing test is a diagnostic test. So we'll start out doing a pretty extensive case history, kind of finding out if you have any hearing issues in your family line, whether or not you've been exposed to noise. We do an otoscopic, which means we take a look in your ears, check for those wax, and make sure the eardrum is really healthy.
You're going to find a lot of wax in my ears.
I don't know. A lot of people think that their hearing loss is due to wax, and then they come in and they're a little disappointed. But as audiologists, we can remove wax, both with irrigation and with suction. And then we do the actual hearing test. But our test is more diagnostic than if you go to a hearing aid dispenser where they're testing for fitting a hearing aid. So with a diagnostic test, we test you both in quiet and noise, and we are also starting to do some cognitive function screening. So we're able to start relating hearing loss with possible memory loss, and that's a whole new area that is really developing.
Okay. Now, Dr. Gabby, when someone's losing their vision, they understand it because they see a difference, right? I wear my bifocals, here, so because I can't see these papers anymore, that kind of thing. But when it's hearing, I think some people probably just have the impression, I just need to turn this up. It's not loud enough, and they don't notice it as much because it's not something you can see or touch, right?
Absolutely. The number one thing people come in and say is, I just feel like people are mumbling these days, which maybe is true. A lot of people do mumble, but it's the mumbling, it's the turning up the TV, the little signs that you're right, maybe you don't notice, but your closest family and friends might be.
We're having to yell at dad.
Exactly, yeah. And so, no one ever wants to feel like something is wrong with them. So, having that defense kind of wall put up when someone mentions things. Our job is to break down the wall, let's treat, because there are more important and more serious things that can be connected to untreated hearing loss.
Someone you would have? Oh, did you not hear that? Okay. So when you go in there and we talk about treatment, is there anything you can do to repair damaged hearing? Or is it really just, it's about how we can put a hearing aid in there and adjust so you can hear better?
So that all comes through the diagnostic testing. So we'll find out whether or not it's something in the external ear canal. Maybe people get surfer's ear, which is a growth of calcium in your ear canal because you're exposed to cold water and wind. So the body has a natural defense system to try to protect that. So that's something that could impair hearing, and that could be repaired. Maybe somebody has a middle ear issue where their eustachian tubes are not working well, or they have an infection, or the bones are not working right. That is something that could be repaired. But if the loss is in the inner ear, which is where the hair cells and the nerve fibers are, that are also connected to the balance system, then that is not something that can be repaired. However, that is something that the hearing aid can help. And that's what we do in our diagnostic testing, is to assess all that.
Okay, and just talked about the balance. What are some of the other hearing things that are related to hearing loss that they're going to balance and other things like that?
Yeah, so the same nerve that controls your hearing organ controls your balance organ, so the two are closely related. Tinnitus is what we talked about, last couple months ago, and that's closely related to overall ear health. And then the big one that more and more research is coming out is just overall cognitive health. So the brain can't can't process what it can't hear. So if the ears are missing sounds, that is trickled all the way up through the auditory system to the brain as well.
Okay, and it can affect people's behavior. They're upset. They're more irritable, something like that. Or is it because of the tinnitus, or they're just not hearing things like they used to?
Both. Isolation is a big one. Depression. If you're anxious and scared to go into an environment because people are going to say, "Why aren't you hearing?" or you're going to have to ask people to repeat themselves. A lot of emotional things come along with that. So yeah, we see that a lot. People come in kind of irritable, angry, they accept their hearing loss, we're able to help them, and it really is a different person a lot of times.
Okay. And do you feel like people come in to an ear doctor when there's a problem? It's not like I'm going to the yearly dentist and yearly checkups. Is it really like, hey, I'm already in a bad place?
Usually. I
Yeah.
mean, very few people are proactive on that. Even with our general body health, right? We wait till it really hurts before we do something about it. But when it comes to hearing, it's usually that people have been prompted, or like Dr. Gabby was saying, they are emotionally recognizing that they're not in a good place, that they're isolating, that they're getting depressed, and all of those factors are related. Because if you're talking about the news and I'm talking about my shoes because I didn't hear you well, people are going to think, well, you either didn't pay attention or you're cognitively starting to lose it. So they start to get a little bit defensive, where that's where she was saying they isolate and they don't want to go out, especially in difficult, noisy environments, which are group situations. So it's something different, though, than spousal deafness, which comes when you say I do. Right? That's when you just totally ignore your spouse.
I got that way back in 1993.
There you go, right? Yeah.
So, Gabby, when we're talking about this, and somebody comes in for that, is there also like an important conversation you have to have as well when we're doing a diagnosis like this? Like, what is going on, and understanding what's going on at the household, so they understand, oh, this sounds like it might be X instead of Y?
Absolutely. We always encourage all our patients to bring in a family member, because having another perspective, what are you seeing, how are you seeing them handle these situations, gives us a lot of insight and really helps guide our diagnosis and ultimately our treatment.
When people come in, and the one thing that was a kind of maybe a benefit, a lot of people saw as a benefit, is the Costcoization of hearing aids. Anybody can buy them. You don't need a prescription anymore, and those kinds of things. What are some of the challenges people have if they don't go to a hearing specialist and they're getting fitted for hearing aids?
So that is a great question. The thing that we do is personalized service. We are audiologists, so we are coming from a diagnostic medical point of view. I have 6 years of college. Dr. Gabby has 8 in hearing sciences. So we're coming from a totally different perspective. So we're not just fitting a hearing aid, we're actually fitting the person. So from the top down, and it's just a different experience. We are happy that Costco's there to kind of normalize hearing loss, that it's not this huge stigma.
Right.
However, they have very limited services that they can provide, and we have the whole gamut.
Okay, you got Monday, May 13th event coming up. Tell us about that.
Monday, May 13th.
Yeah,
event.
the HLAA, the Mission Viejo. So we are going to have, we're going to be working with what was formerly called the Hearing Well Club in Laguna Woods, and now it's the HLAA, which stands for Hearing Loss Association of America, Mission Viejo. And we are going to have a whole fun day of manufacturers' reps being there, raffles, drawings. We want people who just want to come out and talk about hearing loss, see the latest stuff. Come for an hour. It's in Clubhouse 7, and it should be a great event.
Sounds good. And if you want to get RSV to Tony at hearinglossoc.org for more information, make sure you get your name in there and get in there. Thank you very much for joining us. Amazing hearing. Always a pleasure to have you guys in.
Thank
you.
you.
We come up next. It's going to be the Village String Band. Stay with us.